Hey guys, today I want to give you an update for my Barber Rogue build. So I made a video called Best Barber Rogue after patch 1.11. And yeah, I have played some Nightmare 100 dungeons and have gathered some more experience and also tweaked this bit a bit for high tier pushing. So if you also want to push for Nightmare 100 dungeons, then I can highly recommend you my new updated build. And yeah, I will show you now, and later I will also give you some gameplay tips on how to play this kind of build. So let's start with the skills. So in my video, I highly advised you to try out Forceful Arrow when the new patch comes out. So basically today, the patch will be released. But I also tried Forceful Arrow before the patch just to get a little bit of feeling of this skill. And one huge problem I realized is that Forceful Arrow is much slower to cast compared with Puncture. This is due to maybe the skill itself. Each skill has a different casting time. But mainly, I think this is caused by my crossbow, because crossbows have significantly slower attack speeds. So you can see 0.9 attacks per second compared to 1.2 attacks per second on my dagger. And Puncture is a dual-wielded weapon skill, and that's why it's like its casting time is bound to your attack speed with your melee weapons, while Forceful Arrow is influenced by your crossbow attack speed. So yeah, this is a huge problem. And I feel like we are losing a lot of DPS if we play with Forceful Arrow because our basic attacks are just much slower, and we need to cast a lot of basic attacks to maximize our damage because we are playing with combo points and also with some items like Condemnation. So yeah, I feel like even after the patch, Puncture is still better. So that's why I make this video before the patch. I think nothing will change that much, but we will see. Maybe I will give you another update after the patch. So this is one big change I did to my build. Then I also removed 3 points into stutter step because I'm playing with something else now. And the second biggest change I did is, yeah, I removed, for example, 3 points in stutter step, and also removed death trap from this build completely. And instead, I put in poison trap with enhanced poison trap for knocking back enemies. And then some poison synergies. Since we play with poison trap, we can now put in points in deadly venom, alchemical advantage, and 3 points into de- debil- debilitating toxins, if I spelled it correctly. So yeah, this is for Nightmare tier 100 pushing exclusively. So we need we just need more damage reduction. So this is what we get from Poison Trap and also the knockback mechanic. And yeah, that's why I need more points. So I cut some points here. And also, like I'm playing with 2 points in Trap Mastery because I really like to have more cooldown reduction on Rapid Gambits. But you could also put like 1 point into Rapid Gambits and go maximum points into Trap Mastery for even more critical strike chance. So yeah, these are my changes within my skill tree. So just basically to get more CC and damage reduction and attack speed from poison. So yeah, I think very good for higher tier content. And in my gear, I also did some significant changes actually. So let's talk about it. First, I want to compare it to my Barber Rogue build I gave you here. So, sorry. I just want to open the max roll planner that I have made here. Okay, so my max roll planner, I advise you to play with this heart here. So it's called Caged Heart of Cluster Munitions, and the idea was to have some lucky hit procs to launch stun grenades, and these stun grenades would synergize with Frostbitten aspect, so we could freeze our close combat enemies, yeah, quite every time we fight them. So this was the main idea behind this heart here. But now I have switched this heart for another one. So now I'm playing with this heart here, which gives me a shadow decoy trap after I use a subterfuge skill. And this shadow decoy trap is actually very powerful. So what it basically does is it gives us kinda immunity, because all enemies and even distant enemies will attack this shadow decoy trap for 3.5 seconds. So yeah, we are just basically yeah, immune, since no one is attacking us, and this is obviously very powerful. And what I found out is it literally just works with my quickening fog aspect. So my quickening fog aspect will drop a smoke grenade immediately after I cast my dash. So if I dash forward, um, you can see I automatically cast this shadow decoy trap. And yeah, this will just taunt all the enemies around it. So yeah, very powerful. But I still want to proc my Frostbitten aspect, because freezing enemies is just very great. It gives us additional damage and CC and survivability. So I also switched an offensive aspect on my ring, and now I'm playing with this surprise aspect. And what this basically does is it just stuns enemies every time I use evade. So you can see after using evade, I just drop a bunch of stun grenades. And these will proc my Frostbitten aspect. So yeah, this is my new synergy for freezing enemies. And yeah, instead of the stun grenades heart, I'm using this shadow decoy trip heart. So, and I feel like this heart is must keep for all rogue builds. So I think this heart together with this revenge heart, which just provides you up to 20% damage reduction, these two hearts are just crucial and very key for defensive abilities in higher tiers. So I can highly advise you to play these two hearts with basically every rogue build. So this will increase your survivability by a lot. And yeah, the Barber heart, obviously you need the Barber heart. And one thing about Barber, some people ask me, what is the best Barber? Is it 2 seconds or 4 seconds? After playing it for a bit, I feel like 2 seconds is better. And the reason is very simple. You just want to trigger this Barber explosions as quickly as possible. Because once you trigger one explosion, you have a chance to kill some enemies around you. And after one enemy dies, it will just trigger another explosion, and this can escalate pretty quickly. So you just want to get these explosions out as quickly as possible. So that's why I think 2 seconds Barber is superior to 4 seconds Barber. Okay, so yeah, these were the main changes I did to my build. I believe the rest should be about the same. You could also make an argument of switching edge masters from my crossbow to something different. If you have resource like energy problems, so if you're not full on full energy very often, then edge masters could be not worth it on the crossbow. Some people consider twisting blades, like the blade dancers aspect, could be more worth on the crossbow. I can't give you a clear advice here. I didn't test many things, so for me, edge masters worked quite well, but yeah, there is a point of switching this. And by the way, accelerating aspect, like you could put accelerating aspect maybe on your crossbow, since I feel like accelerating is working with the Barber quite good, quite well. So even though it requires you to critical strike, it somehow works very well with the Barber right now. So this aspect is not bugged or messed up with Barber, as far as I can tell. So yeah. And also I did some changes for my Paragon board. So I think I could make it even more efficient. As you know, this channel is all about efficient roguing. Yeah, so now I have a intelligence glyph on my starter board. I used to have an exploit glyph, but now I use intelligence. It's just a little bit more efficient with the nodes here. So now we play with control glyph. So yeah, it's 86% more damage to controlled enemies and 20% more damage to stunned or frozen enemies. Then I think the second board I didn't change much. Maybe I put some points from here. I took some points away from here. But it's pretty much the same. Still diminish glyph for more armor and some damage. Then exploit weakness board. I also think I didn't change much stuff here. So still the same. Also cunning strategy. You still want to play with devious. Very good glyph here. And I think here I managed to reach this rare node here. So yeah, with this more efficient path, I am able to reach this rare node, which provides me up to 200 more armor. So actually, you could also I could also remove this point here and put it into armor. Then I think this is by far the maximum you could get with this kind of rogue. So we get all of the efficient armor nodes. But since I have enough armor for my cap, I just removed one magic node here and put in for more critical strike damage. So I'm playing with the combat glyph here. So yeah, this was a little change, which is very cool. And also here, I now put the exploit glyph on this board, so on the trickery board, I think it's called. So yeah, very efficient pathing with the glyphs here. Yeah, and also I put I'm allowed to take this node here, so this will reduce my arm trap by half seconds, and this is very significant. So it just basically doubles up the casting time for my poison trap, which is very good. So yeah, this is my new Paragon board, and like this Paragon board is made for the case if you have 4 items which provide you total armor. So right now I have 4 items with at least 6.9% total armor, and together with the Paragon and my gear, this will allow me to get up to 13k armor. So I can show you, because I'm playing with Disobedience on my amulet. I will show you if I find some enemies. Holy shit, where are all the enemies? Okay, here. So for example, if I find some enemies and I lay down my poison trap, you can see it's rising up to 13k, 13,200. And this is exactly the armor cap you want to reach. So 13,200 is your goal for armor with disobedience. And yeah, so but you could also make some cheating. So you can, for example, play with Iron Skin Elixir, which will give you 900 armor, or you can also craft some elixirs, which will give you 600 armor. So if that's the case, then you can even remove some of these armor nodes here and there. So yeah, with elixir, life is much easier. And if you do that, you can just put some, you could put more points into intelligence, for example, here. So you just, yeah, maximize your damage, your critical strike damage even further. So yeah, that depends on you, how you like to play. But in my case, I don't like to play with elixirs, so that's just how I set up my Paragon. Okay, so now I want to give you some gameplay tips. So usually if you see like a random, like no elite packs, but normal mobs, what you do is you just dash into them and then evade. And now they obviously die very quickly because we have very high damage. But basically, your gameplay pattern is you dash and then immediately evade. And what will happen then is you can see I'm freezing some of these enemies. And this is, like I said, the interaction between my aspect on my ring and frostbitten. So the stun grenades will just freeze the enemies, some of them. So this is my basic pattern for normal mobs. And if we find some elites that are kind of hard, what I do then is I activate my Cold Imbue and then dash. So Cold Imbue dash will also freeze the enemies. And the big advantage of that is that the enemies will kind of get frozen before they can activate some abilities. So if you're fighting very hard elites with fire enchantment or some lightning obelisks or something, which are very yeah, they deal a lot of damage, then this technique is kind of good to prevent them from casting these kind of attacks. So Cold Imbue and Dash immediately freezes them, and they just can't attack you. So yeah, this is a tip I can give you fighting hard elites. But for regular mobs, it's just enough to dash and evade. So then they can attack you maybe for 1 second or something, but they will just get frozen immediately after it. And yeah, this is very fun. So unfortunately, I can't find some elite packs here. But I think you get the basic idea. And so yeah, in Cold Imbuement, like why we play Cold Imbuement is for vulnerability and for increased damage. So if you yeah, fight some elites or some mobs with a lot of health, you want to chill or freeze them first. So I want to freeze these enemies, and then if I Cold Imbue my attacks, I will deal 40% multiplied more, like yeah, 40% more multiplied damage. And yeah, this is a lot. So Cold Imbuement is very good for increasing your damage. And your basic okay, here we have some elites, so I can try to show you. So you can see they are casting all of this stuff here, the walls, obelisks, and all of this stuff that can kill you very easily in tier 100 dungeons. So now I will try to show you how to prevent this with Cold Imbue and dash. So I activate Cold Imbue, and I just need to make it very quickly. So actually, I don't know where the elites were because I ran away. Oh my god. So I just want to find the elites here, but the spiders are preventing me. Okay, this is not as easy as I thought. Okay, but maybe I will find some new elites. Anyway, I wanted to say, so the basic, our attack pattern is you either cast one puncture and one twisting blade. So this will cost you more resources. But if the enemies are dying quickly, this is just fine, since the explosions will restore our resources just after the enemies die. But if you have problems with resource management, you can also switch to a more kind of slow attack pattern. So you will cast 3 times puncture and then attack with your twisting blades. Okay, so you cast like 1, 2, 3, and then use twisting blades. So yeah, this depends on how much resource management you have, and so you could also have some energy regeneration on your amulet. This will help you a lot. Okay, here's some elite. Okay, I will maybe try this again. So yeah, you cast Cold Imbue and Dash, and then this mob is not allowed to cast any of his abilities. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Oh, and then you of course also lay down your poison trap. So every combat you also lay down your poison trap. Here the mobs just died too quickly, but the poison trap will also just increase your damage and give you more damage reduction. So this is the basic pattern. Cold Imbuement, Shadows Dash, Poison Trap, and then Puncture, Twisting Blade, Puncture, Twisting Blade. Okay, I think you get the idea by now. Also, yeah, I have uploaded many gameplay videos, so if you didn't watch any of them yet, I can advise you to get a more further understanding of how to play tier 100 dungeons. Just watch my videos, and yeah, maybe I will give you another update after the patch for the Barber build. But right now, I think this is the most effective way to play this kind of Barber rogue for endgame content. So I don't expect much to change. And I think my next build will finally be the Poison Rogue. So the Poison Rogue I advised you to play like 2 or 3 weeks ago, which is by far the most powerful build for endgame content. So yeah, I think Poison Rogue will be my next build. So yeah, finally we'll play some of that. So I hope I see you in the next videos. Please leave me a like if you enjoy my content, and have a nice day. Bye bye.